how much it costs to get in front of people on Facebook and Instagram in terms of like CPMs. And I was just blown away. Like it was like $10 to get in front of 1,000 people.
1,000 people, yeah. All right, here we are, another episode of More Than Marketing. I'm the host, Arsham Mirsha, and today I'm joined by Dan Lesniak. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Thank you.
Lesniak, my pleasure. Dan, thank you so much for joining me. This is awesome. You're $1 billion real estate agent. I assume that means you sold $1 billion of real estate. Yeah, your group.
Yeah, we've hit a few billion actually now.
A few billion now. That's so cool. I love that. Best-selling author of the hyper-local, hyper-fast real estate agent, How to Dominate Your Real Estate Market in Under a Year. That's pretty dang compelling title, if you ask me, especially if you're a real estate agent or an aspiring one. And then 13 marathons and 5 Ironmans. Is that the right numbers?
Yeah, that is. I don't know why I did that, but
how do you find the time?
Yeah, it's just eliminate things that don't serve your goals, don't serve your vision, and there's people have got time everywhere. Like
I agree.
Average American, I think, is 4 or 5 hours a day on social media and TV. So
yeah. So you're using that time more wisely, definitely, so that's a feat in and of itself. And then U.S. Navy before all the real estate. So thanks for your service, my man.
Thank you.
And then Dan, just want to hear from you. Maybe tell us a little bit more. What didn't I cover in the intro? Because my understanding is, well, yeah, go ahead. You tell me. My understanding is, you use social media, and that's what I want to cover. Kind of digital marketing, social media to dominate your real estate market. And I really want to dig into that today. But tell me about yourself in your own words.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to give you the quick version of how I got into real estate. This was never something I thought I would be when I grew up or that I went to school with. I sort of grew up in that paradigm where my parents raised me to this belief that if you work hard in school, you can get into the next school. And if you work hard at that one, you go to the next one, and then you can get a good job. And if you work hard there, you can go to another one or maybe back to school. And, it all worked really well for me until it didn't. So like you said, I did the Naval Academy, went to the Navy. I got my master's in business administration, MBA at Georgetown. I thought I would get out, go work for a big strategy consulting firm. Mm-hmm. At the time, I had just a government contracting job that was okay, but it just wasn't super exciting for me. Mm-hmm. And I wanted something else. That's why I got my MBA, and I thought I would go be a strategy consultant for McKinsey or BCG. Yeah. And this was back in 2010 and 11. They all rejected me, said, no, you think you know how to do it, but we don't think you have the sales acumen for what we're looking for. So they recommended that I go out and get a different kind of experience. So I decided to get my real estate license because I bought and sold a few homes before, had invested in a bunch while I was in the Navy, and I knew a little bit about that. So I got my license. I still had my job, my government contracting job, which was just one of those kind of steady, put your 42 hours in, 45 hours in.
Right.
And so I found ways to start in real estate while I was doing that. And that
it was a side hustle, right?
It was a side hustle,
time, right?
But it wasn't a side hustle for very long. It took off quickly. The next thing you knew, I looked up and I was like, wow, I have more commissions coming in this quarter than I'm going to make the entire year. I should probably just quit my job and focus only. So that's what I did. And, the reason really, and I wrote about this in the book.
Yeah.
The reason I picked a very hyper-local, hyper-focused strategy, and local, hyper-local for me, it doesn't necessarily mean geographic, but that's the first thing everyone thinks of. But
it is, yeah.
But I was forced into that strategy because of my work. So I didn't have time to go everywhere. I wasn't going to call all my friends and family and ask them for deals and because they knew me as the government contractor guy,
right,
Navy
right,
guy,
right.
Whatever,
not the real estate agent. Yeah, sure.
So I started marketing to my building that I lived in, my condo building in Arlington. It was 180 units or so. It was about 5 years old, so it was just coming up for resale,
right?
Where unit owners would turn over. I just focused on those 180 people to start. And I got people wanting to sell, upgrade within the building, buy in the building, sell in the building, or move out to adjacent areas. And I just kind of spread out from there. And I ended up that first year, I got over half the market share in that one building.
Wow.
Like, I did like 12 million in that building alone and about 10 million in adjacent buildings. And it was all because I went through this simple process. I call it STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. A lot of people, no matter what business they're in, they're just unintentional about how they start. They don't have a target market, and they don't have a position, right? A value proposition that they communicate to them. So I did all of that, and it worked fast.
So talk about, I mean, dude, that's, you said, hyper local. It doesn't get any more local than your apartment building that you're living in, right? I mean, literally your next door neighbor is your target market. And it seems like you recognize that. You knocked on the door and was like, hey, look, I know that the timing is such, and I live here, so I know this market, and I can help you. Is that right?
Yeah, that was kind of, I mean, yeah, that was it. Really, it was pretty darn simple. And it doesn't have to be a geographic area though. Like if you love boaters, you could focus on waterfront properties, or golfers focus on golf communities, or if you used to be an accountant, you could focus on them. So there's it's just taking the time up front to decide which segment of the market you want to try to do business with, and then try and come up with a value proposition.
Yeah. So I understand segment, right? That's like, who's your niche? I understand position. That's like, what's the value prop, right? Talk to me about targeting. Like, what is the target piece?
So targeting is that's just which segment you're going to target. So segment is kind of like how you chop up the market, how you chop it up into the bits and pieces, and then the target is, okay, which piece do you want to go after? Because if you try to go after the whole market, you're not going to make enough noise, right? So you got to
you're everything to everyone at that point.
Yeah,
I gotcha. Well, I really want to know, because so I get, and I like those very wise kind of going after in your case, hyperlocal being your apartment building to start. But then what about this transformation to digital? I watched this this clip where Gary V, you were in the audience, you were talking to him, and what'd you say? You said something like you guys cut some 15,000 a month in direct mail and put it all on Instagram and Facebook. I'm very interested to know how that came to be. How so many questions, Dan. Like, first off, when did you decide to do that? How did you decide to do that? How did you learn digital? Did you use an agency? I got so many questions for you, man. Can you talk to me on that?
Sure. So, I described my first year previously, which was 2012. Kind of fast forward 6 years later. By that time, I had met my wife. She was in real estate. We combined, grew this kind of dual-headed team, and last summer we met with Gary V at an event in DC, and at the time we were doing a little over 200 million in volume, and we were on pace to do that again last year. And he just, with such clarity, when put it in perspective to me, how much it costs to get in front of people on Facebook and Instagram in terms of like CPMs, right? Sure. And I was just blown away. Like, it was like $10 to get in front of 1,000 people. 1,000 postcards cost me $500. Right. And he told a story at this conference about how he gets upset when he looks at Wikipedia and sees the line that he took his family wine business from 3 million to 60 million, because at the time, a lot of that happened because of Google PPC. He said, look, had I gone all in on it instead of just 20% or so, right, I would have done 250 million.
Yeah, or 600 million instead of 60 or whatever, right?
And then he said within a few years, Google PPC got up to 80, 100, whatever it was for CPM. But and he said, look, at some point, I don't know if it's in a year, 2 years, 5 years, that will happen to Facebook and Instagram. And then we met with him after that event for about half an hour. Had a private meeting with him, which was cool. And I walked away and told Carrie, like, look, we need to cut direct mail. And I think at the time we were spending 15, 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And, we just went out and we hired videographers. We hired more people on our marketing team to do social media, and
Mm-hmm.
started making ads and pumping out a lot more content.
Yeah.
6 months later, we met up with Gary Vee at another conference he was at in Miami, and that might have been the clip you saw. But
Yeah, I think so.
he had me tell the story in front of the whole audience, which was pretty cool. But normally December, so we met with him in like end of August for the first time. Made those changes within a month. First 2 months, not much happened, but by December, people were like, "Man, we see you everywhere." And normally in December, we'll close about 20, 22 deals. That's what we did the last 2 years. We closed like 88. It was our highest month ever.
Wow, like 4x.
Yeah.
So how does this translate from digital to 4x more in sales? Because first off, in that clip, and you mentioned like for the first 2 months of doing digital, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you're doing, you weren't seeing the traction. And Gary's like, oh, by the way, that's where most people quit. It sounds like you didn't quit, you kept with it. I can relate to that as an agency owner. I can tell you, we have a lot of clients who, and I get it sometimes, like there's an impatience of sorts, and a lot of times like Google and Facebook, their algorithms, their machine learning, it takes data, it takes time for that to work, for it to find your target audience and hit them at the right time, right? So but how did that in real estate? I've watched some of your stuff. I think it's pretty cool. You guys go around to like the barber shop or the restaurant, do some video and tell your audience on Facebook and Instagram what this local business is all about. I love that. How does it actually then turn into business for you though? Like, do people reach out? Do they know that you're a real estate agent? They reach out and like, hey, I'm trying to sell my house or buy or what?
I mean, we do a mix of
about the
different
strategy.
strategies.
Yeah.
So we sort of mix what I would call Gary Vee's strategy and Grant Cardone's. So, Gary's more into the branding and into the long term, and Grant's more into the sales. And I think both can do both. Mm-hmm. But, we've got a mix of those videos that you described that are just highlighting local businesses. And that's just, those people push it to their audience. We put paid money behind it as well. And it gets people in the community recognizing us, gets them knowing who we are. And yeah, we're talking about the barber shop, but we're using a branded microphone and it's got our name on it, so it's kind of like elegantly mentioning it. Right. And then we'll also do a mix of ads that are buy a house now, right, or sell a house now.
And you're targeting you're targeting the audience that is interacting with your videos, right?
Yeah.
So if you see you're putting the video out there, okay, get some impressions, there's a reach, there's impressions, get some frequency, but the people who maybe comment or maybe maybe you target them and with a down funnel ad. Is that true? Yeah.
So if they watch our general non-salesy video, we'll create a retargeting audience in Facebook, and then go more direct sales with that ad, right? And we'll retarget our website visitors now. We'll do custom audiences of all our past clients, and then use lookalike. So we've
brilliant. This guy's true digital marketer. He goes custom audience and lookalike on that. That's one of my favorite strategies in B2C. Or a high volume B2B, one of my favorite things to do, because that's leveraging the power of the two big ad platforms with Google and Facebook. They got AI and machine learning, to the hills. They're leading that charge and they're using it for ads. So what you just mentioned is a brilliant strategy, and it works. So kudos, man, kudos. So that's so it sounds like that's like kind of more. It is a mix of what you said. It's a mix of that branding. It's like, hey, I'm seeing these folks and they're doing me a service. They're adding value to my day. And then also, you'll hit them with the ask, with the Gary Vee right hook after all those jabs, right? And I love that. I have this saying, and I want to see if you agree with it. Very simply put, in social media, there's two pillars of social media. One is you have to be active. If you're not there, if you're not on it, you're not 80% of the battle is showing up. You got to be active. You got to be there. You got to be commenting. You got to be liking stuff. You got to be putting stuff out. But just putting stuff out or saying nice in a comment or hitting like, that's not enough. The second pillar is adding value. And I think that's something that you and your team are doing really well. You're going around and you're highlighting these local businesses as for that one example, that one strategy, and that adds value to them because it gets them exposure, right? And then it tells the community, hey, this is here, this is what they're all about. Here are their values. Come check them out. So you're doing it, man. You're adding value and you're super active on it. And I think because you're hitting those two pillars, you're seeing the results. True or false?
I agree 100%.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. What other like strategies or like how are you expanding this? How are you, right? Because you got to take it beyond yourself. I know you wrote a book, and I think it seems like you've shifted maybe from real estate to training real estate agents. Is that
we do
true?
both?
You do both. Okay.
So we're growing our team, getting more people, recruiting more agents. Social media has helped a ton.
Right.
Last year we had about 20 or so agents. Now we're up to 50. So we've doubled.
Wow.
Doubled there, and we're gonna keep adding. And we also started a coaching company called Hyper Fast Agent.
Mm-hmm.
We coach agents all over the world now. We've got about 160 people that are doing our monthly program. We're putting on a digital summit right now that I think over 2,000 people are signed up for. So
wow, that's
we're doing
great.
a lot of work there as well.
That's awesome. That's good for you, man. So it sounds like your digital strategies also helped you recruit.
It has, yeah. So I know a lot of real estate agents don't like to hire people that aren't in commission roles.
Mm-hmm.
But having this big marketing team and digital team is allowing us to do multiple different things. So it's helping with getting more buyers and sellers. It's helping with getting more agents. It's helping our coaching company.
Right.
I'm sure we'll probably leverage it into other things down the road as well.
I'm sure as well. What advice do you have to like a maybe a digital marketer or a real estate agent, if that's easier, who's just starting out? Because it sounds like you have you said you hired some videographers and what have you. So I don't. If I'm a real estate agent just starting out, I don't have that, right? So how do I get started? What's my first step, second step? So
Yeah, I think using video more, and you don't have to be expensive. Like the quality on the iPhone is more than enough, especially if you get a stabilizer, which most of those stabilizers are like $150 at most.
Yeah.
You can get I use the DJI Osmo Pocket a lot because it's very, very small and convenient. But you can even get your own camera and put a monopod on it, use that as a selfie stick, right? And that's only going to be like $1,000 of a setup. So it's not super cost prohibitive. I think the key is to just make a lot of content, make a lot of different ads. I think, I use Facebook ads library a lot to scope out my competitors and just big guys, what they're doing. And the one thing I noticed is that, and we probably were guilty of this for years, where you're kind of just thinking of social media as like the check in the box. Like, yeah, I have a Facebook page, or, I have a YouTube channel. And, if you never run ads, or you just make one ad and run it for 6 months, like it's not going to work. It's not going to do anything. And so I think if you're just starting out, there's a huge opportunity, and just make content every day, test new ads. Like, the person that can make more and quicker, which sometimes if it's just you, it's going to be faster because there's no one else to do it, right? And if you can make a couple things a day, eventually some of it will be good, and you'll win because you have more at bats. So just execute fast.
Yeah. Miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I agree with you. The iPhone camera is like more than good enough. the Facebook makes it easy with their ad library and their stock photos, for example. So it's easy to get started. You don't need a designer necessarily. And then the hyper local, like just walk out of your building and start going to local business. And for one, to use your example, or or talk about. I saw this one of my friends went into real estate. He does a weekly real estate update for the county that we're in, and he talks about the median home prices and our the seller's market, buyer's market, and he just gives that update. I'm not in the market to buy or sell a house in my community, but I still watch it because I'm like, oh cool, like information. And it's like 2 minutes long, and I feel informed. So then when it comes time, who am I going to go to?
Yeah, I mean, if they see you interviewing all the businesses in the area and you're just running ads to that zip code, like.
And then on that targeting, is that how you started? It's probably you started with just like, I guess like on Facebook you could do like interest targeting, right? I wonder if you did any of that to begin with, or you just did, hey, is this zip code? Show it to everyone. Maybe an age, because 18-year-olds aren't buying a house.
I mean, it's so cheap, and I'll just do the entire zip code. But for general top of the funnel kind of branding videos. But then as they watch it, I'll start to make specific audiences and get ads in front of people that watched the first video.
Yeah, a major takeaway I'm grabbing, then I got to wrap up for time's sake, Dan, is that you said, and it was in reference to the Gary V, it's like, Gary had this experience where he was using PPC, Google Ads, and then, he wishes he went all in then when it was less expensive, and then now it's, more expensive. The cost per clicks have gone up. It's become maybe saturated, maybe more competitive, whatever the word you want to use. But Facebook and Instagram is still kind of in the earlier days. So it was funny, you said the CPM, so the cost per 1,000 impressions on Facebook is $10 for your zip code, whereas if you were to send 1,000 postcards, it was like $500, right? So 50 times more expensive. Now, 50 times more expensive, and one thing if I could add to that. You're sending a postcard, which is just a flyer, easy for them to kind of chuck away. You can't get a big message across on that. So the content is like not as rich as for 50 times less, you can deliver a video to someone, right? Like that's amazing.
And you get data on it because you know who watched it, who didn't.
And you get data on it, yes. And you get the tracking, and you can then target the people who engage with it versus not. So I love it, man. I love it. Hey, Dan, anything else you want to add to this? We can go on forever. But anything from your book or anything you want to toss out there?
No, I mean, if you guys want to get the book, I do have a deal where you can get it for free at hyperfastfreebook.com. So you just have to pay the shipping. So if you guys want to check that out, it's hyperfastfreebook.com.
hyperfastfreebook.com. I'll put that in the description.
Thank you.
And share with my buddies who are a couple of them who are going into real estate or have gone into it recently. I can think of 3 people actually off the top of my head. So yeah, definitely get that out there. Dan, keep kicking butt, taking names, man. And it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time. For all y'all out there, like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.